So this whole cryogenics thing is silly to the extreme. From the perspective of a potential future of cancer and illness-free science, which probably won't exist for the majority of people, and considering they want most of the population dead also, to the whole notion of returning to their body after it has been frozen, thawed out and ready to go. If you die, which you will if you go through this process, as what is occurring here is that your vehicle is made unusable. You are not your vehicle. You are the real individual with the is, animating the physical vehicle, and all 5 body vehicles in fact. When your physical vehicle is no longer able to function and dies, the individual using the vehicle will exit it and pass on to their next position. The next position, depending upon what said individual has decided on, focused upon, the extent to which they have earned their way into the higher, literally speaking, levels, or simply pass to the astral, having considered only their personal self. So on leaving the physical frozen cryogenics vehicle, an individual now passes onto their next position, and lacking any awareness, which obviously a person who hasn't even embraced the concept of reincarnation, let alone connecting with their real awareness, that individual must be just physical astral, and one-dimensionally literal. Then they will float about the astral, forgetting everything from the physical life, wander about in an awareness oblivious days, and when they cannot go any further, as their awareness and lack of recognition of the life levels beyond the physical will disallow them to do, they will become bored and drift back to the physical, to be reincarnated once again, a random roll of the dice as to where they may end up. The position they return to will be based on cause and effect karma. Without the connection to the is, they are subjected to the lords of karma, who dictate their next position on the physical based on what they did in their prior lifetime. Suffice is to say, they won't return to their frozen cryogenics body, unless for some reason the lords of karma dictate that the individual's next lifetime will be in the reanimated popsicle of a vehicle they previously had. But in theory, the body isn't unfrozen until the scientists discover how to reanimate it, neglecting to realise that simply reanimating a body will do nothing but activate an empty vehicle, for what animated it has long gone. So an individual would, and with the nod of the lords of karma, as we play out this possibility, have to wait until the precise moment where, and if, the mad scientists thaw out the previous vehicle, in the contention that they believe they have discovered how to reanimate the person, and then leap into the thawed-out vehicle, and continue from where they left off. Sounds a little far-fetched, but anything is possible in creation, and we know that we can decide, choose, and have anything we want. So, if a person rigidly didn't believe in reincarnation and maintained a cast iron want to return to their frozen body as their next life position, or life position revisited, then it could be so. We are always the decider of everything we want and do, from finding ourselves stuck in the ground due to believing that we are to remain 6 feet under after we die, to assuming any role or position we seek, to even, presumably, returning to a vehicle once abandoned, to continue on with it where we left off. This scenario would unfortunately reinforce the scientists' contention that the body then was the person, and see here, we reanimated it, and the person is back with us again. Blissfully unaware of all the process that occurred in our theoretical ponderings that led to that moment. Usually we simply pass over, are subjected to the lords of karma, and when bored enough, we go grab the vehicles our real self has fashioned for itself, and back to the physical we go. We create our own vehicles based on what we have done in regards to cause and effect. The more dire our cause is, the more malformed and distorted our vehicles may be, and the opposite holds true also. Those operating more along the lines of the qualities exhibited by a real being of light and sound, those of a more sincere and pure persuasion, will have far more advantageous vehicles for surviving the life they may find themselves in next. I liked how Dwayne described it as a hunk of clay, and depending on your activities in your previous life, how much clay you have to work with. How controllers who diminish others and constrict through their distorted marketing ploys will find themselves in a vehicle of a similarly distorted nature, physically or mentally. Although everyone who returns in future body forms will find them distorted, due to the agreed upon demise that is racking creation. Everyone has the vehicle and position they have chosen for themselves, the circumstances and situations, and unfortunately, just being a good person will not save someone from this distorted future position. For unless an individual connects with their awareness, makes the connection with the ears, then they are subconsciously programmed to agree with the demise of the world, and so receive the cause and effect consequences for agreeing with this. The connection with the ears will bypass the programming subconsciously of this destruction, but the individual still must decide to not agree with the distortion also, with the intent pure and sincere to supersede creation. The guides will take care of some of the karma, and in fact for everyone who is utterly sincere with their intent to be with the ears, there is in fact no more karma. Rebazar Tars has stated emphatically that karma is no more. The slate is wiped clean, but only for those with the sincerity to stand real with the true reality of the all is. As a side note, every time we do return into a new vehicle for a new life, we have no conscious recollection of our previous lives. We have a new vehicle and a new mind, and we begin to experience and gather information to add to our created consciousness. All our past lives do exist with the causal body, a storehouse of everything we've been through, full of experiences, references, agreed upon ideas, and practiced habitual reactions to all manner of stimuli we've encountered on our journeys. We can only access the causal vehicle through awareness. Most people are physical, astral, literal and emotional, and so the past life data house will be out of reach. But not always. Some do remember past lives, if they are adamant about doing so. Again, anything is possible in creation, and we decide to do and be whatever we want. But that does entail cause and effect, as creation is based upon this. I would ponder then a final note. What if an individual did re-enter their thawed body? Naturally, they'd still not necessarily have access to their causal past life history, as their lack of awareness would not allow. But instead of starting as a baby then, the usual process, and by the time they are older, gone through the indoctrinating, literal ensuring, educational process, they will have no memory of their position generally before coming into the world. If they jumped back straight into their adult body of their previous life, would they more likely retain a memory of their encounter with the lords of karma and the astral? Probably not, as the brain, which experiences and stores everything each lifetime, would have been inactive and disabled during the freezing. So the experiences on the next position of the astral would have, yes, been experienced, but not stored in the mental vehicle. So effectively they would be jumping into a body, resuming their position from where they left off, if they were indeed able to do so, but the experiences between being frozen and rethawed would be lost. It would only be in the causal body now, and access denied, unless aware enough to do so. At least I think so, anyway. But these things could be pondered forever, and really all considerations, ideas and mullings are the domain of the mental vehicles, the literal side. If you use the sun as a demonstration, which is the reflection echo of the ears, does it ponder such things? Certainly not. It just is, and shines as a demonstration of just being, an isness, a pure beingness. It's easy to get distracted by phenomena in creation and spin off into tangents and avenues of thought and deliberation. But the focus ought be the is, and recognizing this true reality with our real awareness. Incidentally, it's feasible that if these doctors did reanimate these physical vehicles, and they are technically then suitable havens for an individual, it makes you wonder what might occupy them. If my suggested hypothetical scenario as to how the original occupier of the thawed vehicle could re-inhabit it failed, but the body was successfully thawed and a perfect vehicle for an individual, might some other individual seize this opportunity to do so? Maybe it is in fact a position assumed due to the decisions an individual made, their choices and focus, that has them now assuming an almost second-hand vehicle, if you will, like taking possession of another person's car. They would then come into this vehicle and take on the memories and experiences it had had up until the point it was frozen. But naturally, whatever consciousness the new individual had created for themselves up until this point would be maintained. But they'd now incorporate the life experiences that this vehicle had had and align them with their own attitudes, personality, and other decided upon ideas and ways of being. It's conceivable that the new individual, claiming a vehicle previously owned by another, won't be able to differentiate between the experiences and memories housed in the vehicle prior to assuming it, or those that now start to accumulate once claimed, for there would be no difference. It is just a vehicle, absent of its prior owner, like someone getting a second-hand computer that the previous owner neglected to wipe clean the memory and data. If you came at it from a state of awareness, you could then be objective in this way, and more readily differentiate between these experiences that technically are not yours, but you can now still access as references and incorporate as you wish. Like getting that second-hand but still data-full computer, the operator being the real you, and with access to this vehicle with extra information you hadn't downloaded yourself, but nothing to get confused about. You are simply able to be aware of this. And of course there is another scenario, another potential usurper of this now very viable and convenient reanimated vehicle. In the lower astral there dwells entities. These are generally of a very dark and unsavoury breed, for you don't get to the lower astral unless your choices and decisions are of a despicable nature, particularly awareness constricting of others, say, or generally just imposing on others in less than sociable ways. These entities always seek vehicles on the physical, and they have many ways of acquiring them. Possession as an example. They can align with an individual and not only gradually take control of the vehicle, but can push the owner of the vehicle out and claim the body for themselves. The individual whose body it was will simply then be off onto their next position, maybe sooner than anticipated. Maybe it was their cause and effect karma to experience such. So theoretically, a lower astral nasty could jump into this reanimated vehicle, and why not? It's a perfectly suitable body, assuming it is successfully reanimated and functions as it should, and there's even the added bonus of not needing to push out the current occupier. And these entities animating these vehicles would make for some frightful humans indeed. The entities are just individuals too, having wound up in the lower astral, due to awareness lacking poor choices, and eventually they might recognise their real intent and awareness too. Everything is just experience, and all experience, if viewed objectively, can assist us in our awareness process. For that is what all creation, all lifetimes, all vehicles, earned or stolen, and all experience is for. We are here for a singular reason, to be with the is, to recognise and perceive it.